Another Sim Racing Alliance season. It's been a long break, and we're back.
But it's been quite a long break, and I think you, me, and everybody involved with tonight's action is super excited to get going.
So they got a straight fight the rest of the night. He's going to have to make a move. That's a Punterino.
Serious pressure from Boostra. Trying to switch on the inside. Swinny goes on the inside for the defense. Oh my goodness, right in between.
He's going to dive to the inside of both of them. They're going to go three wide corner.
And we're off and away for SRA.
And good evening, SRA Nation. Welcome to our Wednesday evening racing event here, Division 3, Season 9. I hope you guys had a little small break, a good break in between seasons. I am joined here by, of course, once again, Adam. Welcome to our Division 3 stream.
Hello, hello. Good to be back, and of course, thank you for everyone here for tuning in to our SRA race broadcast. We're gonna have a good time. Really excited for the start of Season 9 here for our first race. We're at the virtual Hungaroring just outside of Budapest. And what's a really cool stat to me is we've got an absolutely massive field for D3 this season of 41 drivers across 21 teams, and that's absolutely crazy. What are you looking forward to this season?
You know, I am looking. I mean, I'll be honest. We have quite a few familiar faces from D4 that moved up here to D3. Maybe a couple of D2 drivers that maybe moved a little bit back up to D3. So the way I see things is going to be a lot of close racing going on. That with the SRA rating, things getting better and better as the season progresses. The delta between drivers and gaps and things like that just get basically almost non-existent to a point, and close racing all around. Like I said, we had a pretty good event last night, Division 1, and the other basically 2 divisions that had some pretty good close racing as well. So tonight I don't expect anything different from Division 3 here for you guys. But I don't want to take too much of your time. Let's just get into a quick view of our round 1 here at Hungaroring. Talk about a little bit on how the map, how our track map goes. But of course, track Hungaroring, the location, and that is going to be a tough city to name here. Magyarod, Hungary. Wow, probably butchered that, but hopefully somewhere on that aspect. But we got about 4.3 kilometer track. It's just under 3 miles long, 14 turns. And you can see here, key points here in Ungaro. I would say beginning of sector 2 to turn number 4. It's a very off-camber turn. You come out, swing, you can cut the apex quite a bit on the inside, but being off-camber, you can throw your car wide on the outside. Now, there is some runoff you can get to, so you won't necessarily lose too much time, but I'm pretty sure the stewardess will not like and give you a nice track cut here on top of it. Other than that, going as around the track here, turn number 6, chicane, turn 6 and 7. Obviously, you don't want to cut too much into that, or you end up getting on this track cut as well. But the entire track overall is really fun. It's not as technical as some other tracks we've seen here in ACC for the SRO, for to speak, but really fun track once you get used to. 14 turns again all the way across, and we don't want to take again too much of your time. We're going to go over to our SRA TV cameras here in just a second. Drivers are getting their free practice session going before we head into qualifying. And here we go. As there 0 seconds left in qualifying, they'll be heading out for free practice. They're heading out to qualifying. Again, for those of you guys that's joining us here on the stream, we do have silver drivers and gold drivers. It's a 20-minute qualifying session. Silver drivers will be going out first for 10 minutes. Once they are done with those 10 minutes, gold drivers get out on the track, get their own 10 minutes, and get that out of the way. It should be fun to watch. Again, a couple of names we'll go over as we get our drivers start getting their laps in. But I see a couple of names there on the left-hand side. They're quite familiar. We have Mr. Al Latufo there at the top, one of our admins here at SRA. We look down the list a little bit. We have Ryan Garrity. As we go down, we have also Chris Swinney, runner-up last season D4 for the championship, Drivers' Championship. We also have down the list Max Diggs. We have Austin Gardner. And that's just on the top 23 here, as we can see on the list, but I'm sure we'll get to the other drivers very soon, and you guys will be familiar with those names. As we're waiting for the last few drivers to cross the line, car number, and excuse me here, I'm pulling up my race control system. It looks like car number 262 still out there on the track, just getting his last step. That's Mr. Schlitz. Will be coming around. That will get our qualifying session started. There we go. As we head over now, again, you see a counter at the top of your screen, 21 minutes it started with. That gives the silver drivers just a little bit of time to get on their pit lane start, and that will give an equal amount of time for gold and silvers to get their laps through. And just checking on the chat, saying hi to everybody. We're going to go over to deliveries. Hoping that we caught everybody. I know sometimes, usually round 1, we might see a livery in here and there that might not have popped in. We did get ours updated. Just about 5 minutes left before we started the server. So from the looks here at the pit, looks like we do have some liveries popping in, but we'll make sure to let the drivers know if we did miss anyone.
Yeah, if we did, might actually go through, if you don't mind, by a team here. Might be something neat to do, and kind of do an overview of every livery here.
Sure.
I guess we can start, since they're at the top of my list. Let's start with the number 144 car for ZDR Boys Raptor team. Of course, in a Mercedes AMG GT3 this season.
Mr. Petrovich.
Absolutely. Petrovic, the gold driver for that team, joined by silver driver Martin Smith in the other ZDR boys, Mercedes.
And a total of 39 drivers, by the way, joined us now. So we're missing maybe a driver or two, as we mentioned, 41 total drivers here in Division 3. And just a reminder, we do have a drop round. So we do, if you choose, again, your schedule does not work out for you for tonight, you'll still be okay heading into round 2 all the way to 8 rounds of Season 9. I'm taking a quick ride here with Mr. Super Dave, a nice Castrol. Castrol, I always tend to put a different twist here on the accent. But looks really good. Nice looking livery. It's got enough toms there on the side. Looks really good. Just got to go over a few of the drivers here that we do see some liveries popping in. We have Garrity. Let's see what he's got going on for us here. I don't think we've loaded his. He's got more of a white finish on his livery. And we'll check in with Garrity once the race ends. Make sure that's loaded for next week. We have Sutherland with a Mountain Dew BMW on track. Looks really nice. And that's Beverly the third also. Looks like I'm not too sure if his, yep, it looks like it did load. I was trying to figure out what his livery looked like. And checking on the chat, looks like there's no game audio. So, yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, Mapo. We'll take a quick look here and see what's going on. We'll get that solved in just a second.
Oh, I believe GB3, that car is actually one of the Nick at Night cars. So I know it's got some sort of Nickelodeon theme to it.
Oh, there we go. And yes, interestingly enough, give it just a second here. We're trying to capture the game audio. As Mapu mentioned, there is no game audio coming in, but here we go.
Definitely appreciate that feedback, helping us work out the first race bugs that are bound to happen. Yeah, I have to agree with Mapu. I do think D4 guys are going to be a threat here, and of course, we got some D2s coming down to D3. I mean, D3 was one of the most competitive divisions last season. I was fortunate enough to sit in on a couple of races in the booth last season for D3, and it was an absolute blast every time. There was always action, and it was always super tight competition. And I think it's just gonna get ramped up to 11 this time around because we have most of those drivers coming back, and then we got the fastest D4 drivers who were put on an incredible season last time around. I think they're going to be a serious threat to topple some of these D3 regulars.
And by the way, we do have Corey Stracone with a provisional pole on his Porsche. He's able to, so far, a pretty good lap. He's got that lead, 45.030.
Yeah, it's a pretty comfortable lap there, 45.0, about a little over a tenth faster than Speed in second place. Definitely expect those Porsches to be fast. They've been fast all week so far. Practice race and the races yesterday, you've seen outstanding performance from the Porsches. Just able to get on the throttle so much sooner than the other cars. Once they get them pointed, they just get that major jump out of the corners that is just a big leg up at a short track like Hungaroring.
As we do have Super Dave peeking in that pole right now, 44.320. Pretty heck of a lap there. And Mapu, appreciate that. Letting us know about our audio. Let us know if you hear a little bit. We don't keep the game audio too high. Again, we don't want the engine sounds to completely blow out your ears out there if you've got some headphones. But if you hear a little bit of the engine, let us know once we go into cockpit view and such. Probably be a little bit louder. All drivers
so-
on track, by the way, currently improving their delta, so we'll see this change really, really quick. So this is nowhere over.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's just such a heater lap by Super Dave there with one of the best first sectors in the field so far. Sutherland actually put down a hot lap right there with 37 flat for the first sector, which is the fastest out of anyone so far, but
And
still
Garrity.
has him fourth.
And Garrity.
44 flat. We shaved a second off the time already. These drivers are getting comfortable. Tires are heated. Brakes are heated. We're going to start seeing some speed out of here, and we'll see if we can get some silver drivers, post some fast enough laps to hang with the golds once they come out for their qualifying session.
Yeah, Garrity just almost into the 43s here in Division 3. So, yeah, we talked about things have gotten quite close, I would say, among all divisions here. I couldn't consider some of these drivers Division 1 maybe a season or two ago. And with so many drivers joining us here at SRA, things have spread out, but the gap between drivers are still so small. And some of these drivers clearly belong, possibly even higher divisions, if anything. So
I think we just need to call it Diet D2 instead.
that makes sense. Mr. Molyneux here on track on his Audi. With 7-Eleven livery going on there, he's looking to improve on his lap. He does got a pretty good delta going on. He might be shooting up there for a P1 provisional pole. If he can keep this, it gets a little bit squiggly out there to turn, but able to keep that momentum.
Yeah, it's a great looking 7-Eleven livery on that. I really love that car. It had plenty of speed for the practice race on Monday night, so definitely expect good things out of Taylor today as well.
I always remember the Audi was the OP car like just about a year ago. You know how Kunos likes to do things, and then all of a sudden nobody drove the Audi anymore. And now we do have a custom BOP here at SRA. We're trying things out and trying to see if we can get the field a little bit more mixed up rather than just have one make win every race. Oh, this car is good for this track and all that. And you can see there's quite a bit of a mix there on the top. You see Garrity currently with a P1 Ferrari. We have Super Dave, McLaren, Molyneux, Audi, and then we have McLaren, BMW, McLaren, AMG, BMW. So it's quite a mix. And then Sircone with the Porsche. So hopefully our custom BOP works out pretty well. And we should see a mix of different car manufacturers battling all across on every track, hopefully, this season. So. And you can see there, Taylor Molyneux moved up one spot, and there at the end he lost a little bit of time. Driver's still out there, about 11 minutes and 30 seconds left, but again, a minute and 30 seconds left for the silver qualifiers. Still a couple drivers there improving their time. We have Derek Stack here in 7th, almost identical delta as he's just starting his lap. Sweeney.
Now let's check in with that Mountain Dew ride of Reynolds. Just shot all the way up to 6th from 16th.
Put his Lamborghini. Look at that.
9/10 of a second that lap. Huge lap to get to a 44.4.
Nice.
Garrity still holding on to that top spot. I think that's going to be hard to beat, and a little bit up this lap. See if we can hang on to it.
And Dave had a pretty good lap coming through, but unfortunately invalidated it. Otherwise, you'll be challenging Garrity for the top. And these are silver drivers, folks, so the golds are still in the pits. We will see what's going to happen here in just about 30 seconds or so once those guys come out. So,
Real quick, Berg up to P9, 44.6. Jumps about 5 spots with that lap.
and a great looking livery here from Berg. I wonder who made this Hershey livery. Looks quite familiar.
That it does. Someone should give that person a commentary job on the broadcast. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait, he's here. That looks really good. That color tone actually nailed that Hershey wrapper. It looks really good. And he's going for it again, P9. You know who's actually a hell of an improvement right now is Stack. And he's going through the last turn. He might take the pole. Derek Stack coming through. Oh, I lost a little bit of time, but he should shoot up and go P2. Very close. Look at that gap between himself and Garrity. Oh, man. You know, he's kicking himself right now. Barely. Almost put that car on P1, but he's happy. It's with the silvers.
Still a solid lap, absolutely. 2/10 up on the rest of the field still with that P2
And Levine.
lap.
Levine was able to put it up, but not improving. And switching over to João Sodré, P6 McLaren. He's got quite an improvement going on here on his final lap. I do enjoy that livery. He's got the Brazilian flag in there, and, well, that's where I'm from. I'll always root for him, Mr. Sodré. He lost a little bit of time heading into the final part of Sector 3. But he still might be able to get a snag a position or two here if he's able to nail this sector. Last 2 turns. Go drivers are out on track, by the way, and they're basically their out laps, so they'll soon be putting their laps through. Closing P3 for Sodré. Look at that. Comes through right there in the end. Just a few hundredths and was able to move. And then Super Dave just takes that position away again with a hell of a lap right behind him. Almost. And again, Garrity got that pole with that Ferrari and just kind of never let it go. As we're going to be switching over to our Go drivers on track. Looks like Mike Scott coming through. Looks like the first driver, I believe, unless I might be wrong. Mr. Ed Marvin, excuse me, that is first of the Go drivers out on track. That's a nice looking livery for Ethan Marvin. Sprunk. Our, forgot to mention our theme this season is big brands. So you will notice quite a few famous brands, whether it's, you know, American brands or not, but you see quite a few different brands on track.
Big brands, real, fictional, and otherwise. Sprunk, for those of you who know, are familiar with the GTA universe, will know what that is.
That's right. I was trying to remember where that was from. I was like, that's where he was. It's their own version of Sprite, I would say. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of a driver's view here with Mike Scott. He's the first driver who will be putting a valid lap for the Go drivers. It looked like Marvin actually went a little wider earlier in Sector 2, ended up invalidating his lap. He's going to go ahead and give it a try again. Gotta love the McLaren sound. I recognize that anywhere. And checking in on the chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any drivers you'd like for us to give it a follow, let us know here on the chat. I mean, we'll try to switch the camera over to anybody that you might be rooting for. As we did see the first lap, as Scott puts in, was right there in P13. Go drivers are kind of starting to split that the silver field. And checking in, Garrity livery should be set for next week. I forgot to upload it to the D3 folder, no problem. I still got the pole provisionally, so I'll take that as a win for now. And people are asking for more car sounds, so we're going to raise the volume a bit. Let us know here just while you guys are watching. If it becomes a little too loud versus our voices and you can't hear us, but I will bring that volume up a little bit. It is quite a lot louder when I go into a cockpit view, so I'll run a test here for you guys to hear it. But just let us know if it's a little too much. And we're following Schlitz. Coming through that one off-camber turn where you can easily go a little too wide and validate your lap, and it's usually me. Every time I qualify, I just tend to be more of like that very safe approach. I don't go near track limits and things like that, and that basically kicks me in the butt. But I just want to get a valid lap through. That's just basically my idea, because I know that if I get a little too close to the track limit, I just wasted more than a minute of my time. So maybe I'll get a good lap in, and then I'll try pushing later on. Something good to begin with. It looks like Schlitz still coming through. By the way, Rakowski with his BMW has put his vehicle there at the top. As we can see, Doggendorf with the exact same time as Garrity for the pole. I mean, you guys take a look there in the top left-hand corner. Literally, not even 0.001. It is the exact same time now. Garrity did put that time first, so he does get the pole benefit. Now, we'll see Doggendorf try to go for it again and see if he's able to get that pole away from Garrity. And so far, field is pretty split. So silver drivers across the field along with gold drivers all mixed up, and just about 3.5 minutes left in qualifying here. So by the time the gold drivers get on their third lap, same set of tires, that's when they're more optimum for grip and speed, so to speak. And Gardner puts in the top time. Look at that, 44.077 on his AMG. And another great looking livery. Let's see what's going on. And yep, this actually is missing some of well, I know what the livery is supposed to look like. It's a McDonald's livery, by the way. We'll see that next week, but we'll check in with Gardner and find out exactly what happened with the livery loading. We do have it set for syncing, but we'll check in with him, make sure that shows up for round 2. But great lap from him. He's got his AMG there at the pole. Anybody else looking around at the moment? By the way, this entire field is nearly almost all the way to 33rd, within a second of each other. Dudley also here. Dudley the Rider, your D1 commentator and host. He's here at D3 joining us. He's got a pretty good lap coming through. Might actually send him all the way to P4. Great lap from him. I do not see a livery from here also, so we'll check in with Dudley. Make sure that that is taken care of for round 2. And how many in the field tonight? Darren, we do have 38 drivers on the field. All the way to 33rd, basically 34th if you want to say. It's all within a second. So it's a huge field, all drivers. You improve just a little bit, it might give you almost 10 to 20 positions. So let's switch over to Marvin. It's Ethan Marvin on his Lamborghini. He's had a pretty good improvement and up dropping now. And we have Suave. Nico Suave. Great lap coming through here. If he's able to keep this up, he'll shoot himself up way there on the top, maybe top 5. Let's give it a little bit of a car ride with Suave. Just trying to work late break there on as he goes through sector 3, and this is a very good lap from Suave. We're gonna follow him through. Almost half a second up on his best time. Whoa, this is a heck of a lap coming through. He might need to shoot himself up there with P4. Great exit. And their P2 improves even more at the end there, but Scott, by the way, took the lead from Gardner, and so it puts himself in P2. Gardner now in P3, and now Doggendorf P2. So drivers are flipping around there at the top with just under 1 minute left in qualifying, and they're all improving their deltas. And look at Lee, puts his McLaren there at the top, P2, excuse me, P3 with Doggendorf P2, and then Scott there with that first car under a 44, so a 43.935. And requests here from Alan Walker, follow P. Brownie. Yes, I could, but he's in the pits. Yeah, number 448, car number 448. He's already put his lap through. He's currently in 31st. Again, it's still within a second from the leader, so that doesn't mean anything at this point. It's easily a something that can be easily work his way up on the field based on their pace. So nothing to worry about. You just have more cars to overtake, if you would say. So, and we're gonna switch the camera over to Mr. Dudley. Heck of an improvement so far. He's one of those drivers that he just puts his best lap on the last second. And if he keeps this up, he might be shooting himself to a pole, and so is Max Diggs. Following him not too far back. Both those drivers. Diggs, by the way, are flying on the track now. Absolutely flying on his Porsche. That will shoot him way up there on the lead. So, you know, Max Diggs, I've raced with him before. He was actually in Division 2, so now he's in Division 3. I'd still consider him a D2 driver at this point. Great looking livery on his Porsche. And wow, that's almost half a second up here for Diggs. You know, Mike Scott is not going to like this, but that Diggs at the top puts his Porsche right up to the top. And this is not over yet. We have also Gardner, a small improvement on his time. And being such a close field, he might actually move up a few spots again. Let's see. Yep, P5 for Gardner puts his AMG there at the top 5. So that might just be finishing our... We have Petrovic still about to finish his lap. Should be the last driver to cross. 34 not able to improve, so 34th he stays. So yeah, all the way through. Wow, basically 30 drivers within a second of each other here. This is going to be an interesting round one. I will tell you this. And we're going to do a little bit of a walkthrough here on track. Show you guys the liveries we do have. And again, for next week, excuse me, next week we do not have a race. We do have a break due to Halloween, but round 2, we get all those liveries sorted out for you guys to look at. And here we go. Let's go to, we're going to go to the leader, Diggs, a heck of a lap there at the end and puts his Porsche in the pole. Let's go ahead and an outside view and give you guys a little bit of a livery walk and track walk here for the drivers we have here tonight. And let's back up just a little bit. Here we go. Max Diggs with that pole position there at the end. I'll speed us up a bit so we don't finish this off. We have Scott there, Castrol, livery P2, Schlitz P3. We have Suave P4, Gardner P5, Dockendorf P6. We have Lee P7, Garrity as your top silver driver, by the way, P8. Dudley there, do-right, was able to put his car in P9. Stack, P10. We have Wagner, P11, is able to get his Wendy's AMG there, almost in the top 10. We have Dave, P12. Roger, P13. Rutkowski, 14. Sodre at P15. Air, P16. Molyneux, P17. Beverly the third, 18th. Marvin 19th, Lloyd P20, Reynolds, Mountain Dew P21, Sutherland P22, Artem 23rd. We have Andrew Berg on the right, 24th, right next to his teammate Swinney. So here we go at Hershey, and we go down right here. We got a Kit Kat. Andy Speed, Levine, Cranston. Whoa, cars are dropping here as they're getting ready to on their formation lap, but we got Cranston, Latufo Pepsi livery, Johnson, Brownie, no livery just yet, hopefully taken care of for round 2. Riggs, Martin Riggs himself, Anderson, Petrovic, Sircone, Poe with a McLaren Senna looks great there. I'll always enjoy that. Lee, Vasquez Barrentes, and Pancheniak would be your drivers here tonight. 1 hour race, folks. Pit stops. We do have 1 to go. Just keep that in mind. You are required to stop with a liter of fuel. No tire changing requirements, so most drivers end up going with their initial set. But it's depending on how much you shred your tires, you might end up having to do that if you're not careful. Although it's a dry race here, and then everybody should be okay with their tires. Gonna give you guys a heli view of the drivers on the field right now, just to give you an idea. Again, formation lap, and Diggs, good to see him there at the lead. I remember, I think it was about 2-3 seasons ago, I believe, and he was teammates, what I believe, with Jared Seckham, and they were pretty good teammates there on the, maybe like seasons 5 or 6 though. And I remember myself being a McLaren. I've always had pretty good battles with Max Diggs. Great driver on the field, and I believe he did win the team championship that season with Jared. Correct if I'm wrong, but if my memory serves me correctly. And just checking the chat, Stack, Wise Brownie and a 440 livery. It could be not like ACC ends up randomly putting 2 cars on the same pit stall since the track does not have enough. So we end up overriding each other. Kind of one of them takes over the other. So that could have been it. But yes, if we actually go to Brownie, let's go ahead and give you guys an idea of what his car actually looks like, because 448 is actually Sodre's car. So here we go. That's a better view. So yeah, this is just a dark Audi. So interesting. ACC things, folks. You know, this is what we run into sometimes. I think the only track you don't have an issue like this is most likely Spa, where there's, 100 different pit stalls. So
Yeah, Diggs definitely not going to be hard to keep track of in that bright black and lime green Ryobi Porsche. A lot of great looking liveries throughout the field. It's definitely one of my favorite themes we've done so far for the GT3 Team Series seasons.
I think every season we always see these liveries that just get better and better.
Absolutely. And we're rounding the final corner, getting ready to kick off Season 9 for D3. Here we go. Waiting on those lights to change. Mr. Diggs is going to take us to the green. Green lights are out, and we are underway for Season 9 of D3.
And we got a great start from Scott there, challenging Diggs on turn 1. Diggs just late brakes and ensures to keep that position.
Yeah, best to use a little caution there on turn 1. Don't want to force the issue too early and cause trouble. Saw that during the practice race, and it didn't work out for a good 10 drivers.
I know, that's when we
Diggs
have
out
that practice race, right?
Absolutely. Learn what not to do in the practice race and execute better for the actual race.
Get that out of the way on your practice so you don't get any penalty points.
See, back in third, Schlitz is under attack from Suave. Suave in that bright green Days of Thunder
Oh, yes.
tribute car.
Cole
and then McLaren.
Trickle.
City Chevrolet and a McLaren, which I suppose fits, since Chevrolet and McLaren have a partnership in IndyCar. Not the worst combination we've seen.
We didn't see any major issues, it seems. Everything was good. Looks like Max Bow and Arden looks like a spin. Let's take a look at a replay and see exactly what happened. He went over the chicane there. Oh, it looks like he just kind of came in straight, and Reynolds looked like he saw him, so our Tim bounced into the wall. So it looks like maybe a little bit of damage there on his front end. He'll might be getting into the pits to get that taken care of, but other than that, no major issues. Riggs did drop also there towards the end of the field, but it's early in the race and he's already catching up to the back to the field, so looks like everything will be all right for him, but no major issues here as Diggs leading our D3 round 1, and Scott not too far back at all. And pit window is open, by the way. It is a large pit window. You have until basically a minute left in the race to get that out of the way.
Yeah, pretty strung out up front. Let's go back to Sodre real quick. Intense battle back here for 10th place. We got Super Dave, Taylor Molyneux, and Sildre all going for that same spot, and they were 3 wide just before we turned the camera over. Entering the corner, got tight
Oh no!
real quick there.
And by the way, Anderson, who miscalculated his brake mark entirely, ended up sideswiping Berg right on the side door. And I'm pretty sure Berg might have some damage from that hit. Yeah, he might be having some trouble now, as Anderson just completely missed his brake marker, but that costs Berg some positions.
Definitely not helping his odds. Cars are beginning to stack up behind him there.
And checking the chat, Pat, glad to have you join us here on our D3 stream. D3 clear to learn from the practice race. Hope so. I mean, Anderson there, it looks like he might have miscalculated his turn 1 brake marker, but looks like everybody else is okay for the most part. It is round 1, maybe a couple of drivers, you know, maybe shaking their nerves off.
Well, Wagner's still alive this time, so at least one driver learned. So
yeah, practice race didn't go very well for Wagner. He's holding on to that P9 quite well so far, and not too far back from Lee. And Super Dave follow him pretty close. We do have Garner, by the way, fastest lap of the race, holding on to that P5. He started P5. He's holding on to 45.520 on his AMG. He's following the top of the field pretty close. No pit strategies. A couple of drivers looks like they've got their pit out of the way, but let's go a little bit of a cockpit ride here with Garner, your current fastest lap of the race. It looks like a couple of drivers ahead of him are battling for a position. And what it looks like, basically Schlitz and Scott, and then Suave joining in on this battle as well. While Diggs is just saying, well, you guys want to keep battling, I'm out of here. And he's just opening up a 2-second gap there at the top. Late break.
Diggs actually just putting it to everyone right now with that Porsche being chased by 3 McLarens. And, of course, the AMG of Gardner.
And none of them choose to pay. They're going to take this out. They're going to solve this on the track, they said. We're no undercuts, no nothing. Let's get this done here.
Yeah, it's about the biggest weakness we see out of a lot of drivers. You get in that zone of wanting to do battle with the driver around you. Want to get the legitimate, you know, in the satisfaction of beating them on track. But sometimes the smarter decision is if you have the pace to just go ahead and pit, try to get yourself some clean racetrack to work with.
And we have a battle there between basically Schlitz and Suave battling there for P3. As, looks like Schlitz, oh no, his car. Looks like that was a tap between the two drivers. He's back facing forward. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened. Once again here, Suave and Schlitz. And oh wow, that did not look like a tap at all almost. And Schlitz, McLaren just swing to the left. Very interesting. I hadn't seen something like this in ACC for a long time. Suave didn't seem like he moved his wheel at all, and Schlitz McLaren just bounced off the wall. Oh man, he dropped to P15. Oh man, you hate to see that happen too. It's just interesting scenario. That gave basically Gardner, Dockendorf, everybody moved up a spot. So Gardner, who's now in P4, still followed really close by Dockendorf, who's actually, looks like Super Dave, who was there in P5, has dropped a few spots as well. And Diggs is still holding on to that about a 1.5 second gap from Scott.
Yeah, I think Gardner's going to have company from Dockendorf right there. He's pulling right up on the bumper of that AMG.
And looking at currently P9, Super Dave, now Wagner P8. So he's got his AMG squeezed in between himself and Garrity's Ferrari. Excuse me, that is actually Lee's McLaren. Garrity's Ferrari's 2 spots ahead. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick look towards the rest of the field. We do have Alatufo here, P15, excuse me, P16th. Field is starting to open up just a little bit as drivers are deciding to pit early. It's always like they wait until the last minute of the race and then they all merge in together out of T1. It's always interesting to see how maybe their pace throughout the race affects their position, and maybe there's an undercut or an overcut. And not too far back, we have Lloyd, Andre Lloyd, and then Sweeney. Followed closely by Reynolds. Johnny Air, not too far back. Elliot Levine. Doug Lee, and then Maxi Poe. Gotta love that livery. I will always... it's funny, interestingly enough, this is over 3 years ago, the first season I ever ran in ACC. Custom liveries weren't a thing just yet, so I designed a McLaren with a red and white setup like this. Nowhere nearly as good as this custom one, but my whole idea was to emulate that McLaren from the 80s. And this is a great looking livery for Maxi Poe, that's for sure. We have Fabiano Panciniak, which is, oddly enough, he is Brazilian, so he's following Maxi Poe, if you would say. Ayrton Senna's McLaren's right ahead of him, you would say color combo, so he's following Senna around. I'm sure he knows. And currently, by the way, looking at drivers have gained a lot of positions so far. Again, quite a lot of drivers have already pit, but some drivers sometimes stick out more than others. But we do have Panciniak, who we're just following earlier, 17 spots up. He did start at the back of the field. Vasquez Barantes, 15 spots. We have Lee just ahead of them on his 7-11. Big Gulp, he's got also 17 spot gains so far. And Alatufo, 16 spots, by the way. He started all the way in P30. He's at P14 right now. Move the camera over here to our... There is still a pretty close battle going on here as Suave is now on a hunt for that P2. Not too far back behind Scott, so let's go a little wing view here on what Scott is looking at. As Diggs opening up the 2.5 second gap there as a leader, so you know he is enjoying that. And this pack, they're a top 5, so to speak, and they're very close. They're just trying to like gauge each other out and not trying to any sudden moves. It was unfortunate to see that one issue with Schlitz was running there up there with Suave. Just again from the camera view, it didn't look like anything happened, and Suave didn't mean anything by it also, but just cost him quite a few positions. He's now in P13. And this little battle going on for P2 is also letting Garner and Dockendorf close in and just giving Diggs spots. So
right, we saw Suave go just a little bit wide there. Now Gardner is absolutely all over that McLaren. Almost snuck the nose inside the turn before, but just didn't quite have enough room, and probably wouldn't have been a good idea because I don't think he was aware that he was sticking it to the inside there. Probably would have ended super good.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. He just lost a little bit of a grip, and you saw Gardner's AMG just grow on his mirror.
That's one thing about this track. It seems really easy to push the front end too far and really just push the limit of the front end grip that the car has, because you're in the brakes so often and you're so hard into the brakes in some of these braking zones that you're wanting to push the issue with that driver in front, but you end up costing yourself because you're using so much just send it inside on the brakes that you end up with no lateral grip left to turn the car, and I think that might be what he ran into there. But now pulling a pretty healthy lead back over Wagner, caught right back up to Scott like it was nothing.
Switch that what is going on here. There's a crazy battle going on here for P9. And Molyneux Wagner, my goodness, look how close Molyneux is from Wagner. Wagner goes on the defense a bit. It looks like Molyneux will have the inside line. They're battling to turn 1. They're not letting this go. Lay breaks it. Wagner not giving that up very easily at all. That exit speed, and there, this is next turn will benefit Wagner. We'll see it in. Oh no, there was a little bit of a tap there between the drivers. Looks like Wagner might have been a little late on the brakes, and that cost Molyneux. He has gone off the track, unfortunately. Let's take a look at the replay. And, oh, yeah, it looks like there was a little bit of a tap there from Wagner as he went around, and Molyneux out of the way on turn 2. He backed out of the way. Ugh, you hate to see that happen.
Watch it all. We see Wagner actually waiting up at the moment, giving up all those spots to try. Waiting for Molyneux. As Molyneux finally catches again.
So he knows there was a mistake on his end. Good sportsmanship there for Wagner, and he noticed that he might have been a little too late on the brakes, and they're going to battle it out again. They are back in P17 and P18, so they'll be going at it one more time. Wagner did not want to take that position by a tap, basically. Says we're going to battle out on track the proper way, so he's right behind him.
Yeah, a little bit of difference in etiquette from some sim racing to real life racing. You have the ability to do that because you're not exactly getting paid to do it, so you're not going to disappoint anybody by doing the gentlemanly thing and waiting up for the opponent that you may have pushed off.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in the real life events, you get a call from your sponsor at that point. It says, yep, you didn't finish it there at the top, and I'm sorry, we're going to drop you. So that's all they matter. I mean, they care for in the end, so.
Wagner can go ahead and extend this lap a little more and hit the pits.
Just give you a quick update here on Sweeney, by the way. He was P2 last season, D4. Consistent as usual. He's moved up 12 spots so far. A lot of drivers have already pit, but he's keeping it steady on his Kit Kat. Now he's under attack by Reynolds. And not too far ahead, Lloyd, so.
Seems most of our battling's happening mid-pack here, right from 10th to 14th. Got that battle going on there. Al Latifo's been catching Schlitz there for that 10th spot, trying to crack his way into the top 10 in that Pepsi Porsche. Just ahead of this battle for 13th, rather, between Reynolds and Sweeney.
And now Schlitz did get that contact with Suave earlier and might have some damage. His previous lap was almost a second slower than his fastest lap. Now, though, his tires might have been 15 minutes in, maybe not entirely shredded, but that hit could have affected his aero. Hopefully not, but he is fending off Latufo there. Latufo wanting that top 10 spot on this Pepsi Porsche. And we're going to switch over to P18 Lee with Lee and Maxi Poe. Also a close battle going on between your 7-Eleven, your Marlboro liveries. And Poe not able to get the speed out of last turn that he wants to. And that will also give a little bit of room for Panchiniak to close in there on his Lamborghini. So guys, they're on the chat. I've raised the volume for the cars, so just let us know if it's a little too loud. Sometimes I might think this is not very ear-friendly, so to speak, especially when I go to a view such as this one. But just let us know if everything sounds okay. If I've got it pretty much there at the max that it will allow me at the moment, and if it's too low, I'll make sure that that's taken care of for round 2. Now Maxi Poe basically being sandwiched between Lee and Panchaniak here. That's a battle for P18. And Maxi Poe just trying to find a way around Lee, and looks like Poe might have a bit better pace, but just not enough to be able to find a way around. And this is where he's going to attempt maybe after last turn. But he's got to worry about Panchaniak there on the back also, not to get overtaken. So he's got to attack and defend at the same time, and while he's trying to defend, he's actually cost some time here leading into the last turn, so they're going to go for it again. And Lee, again, with a great last sector, was able to open up just enough of a gap to fend off Poe.
Yeah, his McLaren might just be just a little bit warm in the fronts, because definitely did not look like the car wanted to rotate through that last turn.
And look at the battle, by the way, switched this quickly here, Adam. It was an intense battle here for P10. Schlitz, Lloyd, Latufo, Sweeney, just everybody bunched up. And Sweeney tried he tried a little bit of a sheeny move there on Allen, and he did not phase him. And Sweeney had to actually hit the brakes to make sure that he didn't tap. But, you know, try to throw the driver off. Different lines across the track, as you can see here. Sweeney just trying to throw him off. Oh my goodness, super late on the brakes. That scared me here on camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it comes down to the difference in the Porsche and the McLaren, or sorry, the AMG, and how you have to drive them. You can really send that AMG in deep, but you want to get that Porsche back down pretty early to be able to get the car pointed and use that acceleration off the corner. So they're definitely taking a much different approach to these corners, as we see Reynolds goes way off track, or offline there in this Mountain Dew Lamborghini, but still keeping up with these two just fine. Definitely enjoying these battles, and it's kind of activating my sweet tooth here. Could use Pepsi or Mountain Dew along with a Kit Kat. That sounds pretty good.
And Al, by the way, and Reynolds decided to head into the pits, and Reynolds on his pit entry almost lost it. I saw his car almost going sideways on the turn, and that would not have been pretty sight for anybody else coming behind him. You find a yellow Lamborghini 90 degrees the wrong way. But he saved it right towards the end, and that would give Sweeney some breathing room finally.
Yeah, you're one step ahead of me. I was gonna say, let's move to that P6 battle between Lee and Garrity. This has been hot for a couple laps now.
My goodness, look at Garrity just going wide. Oh my goodness, they're barely tapping each other. It was a hair in between these two drivers heading into that turn, and look at Lee. My goodness.
He takes it, but I don't think it's over yet. Garrity came right back right after he passed him the first time. He got back alongside. Definitely has pace there, but
it looked like
try his best to
it looked
create
like
some
Garrity,
separation.
Garrity just went on the, whether he took a track cut or not, but he went super wide on that turn, and we talked about earlier on the off camber turn. He's like, I'm taking the runoff here and try to solve this later, but Lee was able to still make it work. So, but this is not over. This is not over by any means. And you can see there, Garrity. Alrighty, checking on the chat. We do have Sutherland, car 62 wants to see her boy Sutherland. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to Sutherland. And I got a few requests. If you guys have any requests there, if you want to follow anybody on the chat, I mean, let us know here on the chat. We'll switch over to some drivers. Now, Sutherland has already pit. You can see there on your left side of your screen, any drivers with that green box, you would say, next to their deltas and car numbers. The drivers have already got their pit stop out of the way. So you can see this is a huge group of cars already gotten their pits out of the way. And we have Stack, Dave, Sutherland, and then Dudley. And then Al Latufo came behind Dudley, so we got a little bit of a gap between the two. And we have Sutherland try to attempt to move on the inside of Dave on turn one. Dave does not get rattled. Now, Sutherland is he's basically sandwiched between Dave and Dudley, and even though Dudley is an incredibly quick driver, he will take a chance. If you leave that door open, Dudley will put his car through and give him a little peep. Got to be careful. Attack and defend at the same time. And let's just switch back over here on the chat. Give you guys an update here in battle for P2. Now I know Max Diggs, 3-second gap between himself and P2 and the whole train behind him, so to speak. We have Suave, Gardner, and Dockendorf still same position. Just Suave goes super wide there on the last turn. But Scott's still leading this mini train, and none of these drivers have pit, so 36 minutes and 50 seconds left on tonight's event. And I'll switch back over auto here. Battle for P8. We have Sodre and Roger came right next to him. So this is a battle of McLarens leading into turn 3, and Roger sends it deep. Oh my goodness, and look how close Schlitz almost into the rear of Sodre. And Sodre was able to just narrowly avoided that hit. And he did lose that spot, so Roger did take that and up to P8. And the field has sort of spread apart just a bit, but just a few battles going on the track. Wait until all these 18 drivers who have yet to pit come back on track. So this is going to get bunched up all over again. And we're going to go ahead and take in a request here. We're going to go on board with Bobby Dockendorf. He is on that back end of that train battle for P2, and they've kept it pretty steady. Gets a great exit. Look at that Porsche exit. You just see that taken off. But Gardner's AMG also. Look at that, just sprinting away.
Really tight nose to tail for all four of those drivers, trying to battle for this second, third, fourth spot.
Let's go in a wing view of Gardner's AMG, and you can see how close Dockendorf gets on his portion. Look at that different engine roar out of these cars. AMG's got such a great tone. I mean, every time I get on that car, it's just, I can only imagine driving that car in real life. It's just, ugh. And this string has been going on, I'd say, since the start of the race. I mean, Diggs, opened up. It's a 3.5-second lead, so he's at there at the top. But he hasn't really opened that much of a gap. I mean, a little mistake here and there, and Diggs is pretty consistent. But this whole thing will become an entire train all again, and this is due to them battling, which is giving Diggs a little bit of a room there, not about 3 seconds ahead of him. So. Oh, and Gardner goes deep, almost to the rear of Suave, but able to hold off. And now Dockendorf.
A good bit of heads-up driving there by Bobby, too, to stay out of the rear of Gardner, rather.
I'm sure Suave, if he was looking at his mirror, well, on the McLaren's case, your small little computer screen, he saw that AMG growing really quickly. But no incidents. The race goes on.
Nose to tail once again as Gardner's catching back up to Suave. Going to be all over the back of that green and yellow McLaren.
Yeah, this is not going to get... I mean, here at Hungaro, it's actually, it's roughly about 1:45 track, but there really isn't many overtaking opportunities. It's more of a, if you get a great exit out of the last turn, you can challenge the turn 1, but even then, it's just not a long enough straight for you to, safely do so. It's more of a, I'm gonna put my car on the inside here, and if the driver ahead of you puts his car on the inside, you basically have no chance. I mean, it literally requires a driver mistake in order to get that taken care of here at Hungaroring, or in the pits to try to undercut if that's the case. As Gardner goes wide, again, loses grip.
Yeah, it really does. And Hungaroring is just one of those tracks. It's so quick. You don't have much time in between corners to set up your next move. There's not really a whole lot of straights or anything where you can kind of plan out what you're going to do next. You kind of have to just drive off the cuff. It's one of those tracks that kind of separates the instinctual drivers from those who are more calculated. You know, some people just have a more innate, just they can make that split-second decision of how to set somebody up to take advantage of a weak point, and others have to think more about it. I admittedly am one of those, so I probably, which might explain why I'm not great at this track, but it definitely is a different approach for this track because how short it is, how fast it is, and just it's a rapid-fire track for drivers who can really think on their feet.
It's actually one of the tracks, you know, Formula One races here often every year, and it's one of the tracks that you don't see a lot of action. I mean, you have your DRS zones and things of that sort in Formula One, but most racers tend to be a little bit, I'd say, they say boring, because even with DRS opportunities, you don't have enough time to basically challenge the driver ahead of you. But it's still quite technical. It's easy to make a mistake, easy to get a track cut, especially where they're heading to here in this chicane. There's a fine line between cutting the chicane here and this Dockendorf a tap on on Gardner's tap there. Oh no! Let's see exactly what happened. He's just a little too late on the brakes. We're gonna take a look at the replay, and looks like he was a little too late, and that cooked a little bit of Gardner's tires. So, oh man, you hate to see that happen again. I was just talking about the chicane too. I might have jinxed things for Gardner. So apologies here, commentator's curse. Back on the track he is.
Fortunately, not the end of the world for Gardner either. Gardner still had his pit stop to make, so conceivably he'll probably end up doing that now.
Maybe get that out of the way. So a little bit late on the brakes there by Dockendorf. And Suave, Dockendorf now they're battling among themselves. Looks like Suave, Dockendorf a little bit behind, but we'll see if he's able to catch up to these two drivers for P2 and P3. Very close there, leading to turn one, and you've seen Suave just always try to bait Scott into turn one, but Scott is just dead on focused, just keeping his race line as it is, and you know, if you're going to attempt an overtake, you know, you're going to have to work your way for it, buddy. He says, I'm good and I'm clear.
And I guess another way to look at this track, I know you mentioned it's so hard to pass. It's really a track where you don't get beat by the other driver, you beat yourself.
Yep.
And that's
absolutely
kind of the name of the game. And like you said, Scott's doing exactly what he needs to do. Running his line at his pace. It's going to be, Suave is going to have to overdrive his car at some point to get by. That's the only way he's going to get by if Scott keeps driving like he is right now. Just driving his line, making no mistakes, hitting the mark exactly like he needs to. And that's really the key to this track is not beating yourself.
And not to mention the fact they're both McLarens, so that's not going to benefit anybody. They might have different setups, but car itself is the same, so they're not much happening, you would say, unless somebody makes a major mistake.
I wonder if maybe a little bit of front aero damage for that Porsche of Dockendorf behind him seems to be falling off of the back of those two McLarens just a little bit. A little over a second now, compared to being right up on the bumper before.
We'll mention one thing, as I did see a new fastest lap of the race, by the way, by Wagner, who has been sort of hot lapping on his own, it seems here, so that benefits him. We'll see how many drivers he's able to move his way back up. Remember, he was involved in that incident earlier that was with, I believe, Molyneux. And he's already pit. And correct if I'm wrong here, I'm looking to see if I find Mr. Molyneux here, but I don't see him.
Molyneux's up to P12
Oh,
now.
P12. That's a yes. I just saw that now. Now, Molyneux has yet to pit, so that's why Wagner already took his pit out of the way. So he does have the fastest lap of the race, by the way. It is a 44.790 for you folks that want to know. D3 race pace. Fastest race. He's actually himself and Rutkowski with a 44.940. You have a Sutherland 44.920 and Gardner 44.955. So a couple of drivers already pitted about on the high 44s. Switch back here to Derek Stack. He's currently in P17th. It does have a little bit of a train gathering behind him with Dave, Durag, Dudley, and Sutherland. And in the chat, guys, yes, appreciate you guys mentioning that. That's I'm just going ahead and most likely my internet service provider acting weird on me here. Sometimes they'll decide to just happen to cut my upload just a tad bit at times, and then you unfortunately get a little bit of a skip. This problem will be resolved once fiber is available in my area. I promise you that. So apologies sometimes when you guys get a little bit of those bleeps, but hopefully everything is okay for the most part. Dockendorf in the pits, by the way. Let's switch over to his Porsche. Looks like it was a 5-second flat stop, 30 seconds, so he chose not to do any repairs if he had any damage from that tap earlier with Gardner. Yeah, we'll be shooting into the back of the field a little bit. Just behind Wagner, we have Johnson. It's about a 6-second difference. He does have Martin Riggs on his BMW, not too far back. Very close there from Riggs. Goes super wide on turn 1, but so does Johnson. It's very interesting, turn 1. Different cars, different brake markers sometimes, and you sometimes you just hope that your car's brake markers isn't too further ahead of the car ahead of you, because you'd have to go straight, and we saw that happen earlier where Berg got unfortunately swiped by Anderson, I believe. And I'm sure he's got some damage. He's already pitted. Berg is in P30 at the moment, so first race of the season. Taking a look at his pit stop, he chose to get that repaired. It cost him an additional 15 seconds to get that fixed after that hit on turn 1 for his AMG. So he's trying to work his way back up.
Yeah, just look like that that car's got a decent amount of pace again after the repairs. So hopefully you see him climb back up the leaderboard again.
And we're going to switch over to Sodre here, currently in P7, by the way. Lloyd, Sodre, by the way, silver driver, Lloyd, gold driver. Just about a half a second difference between these two. They're himself and Scott and Suave, and let's actually switch back over to this. This battle for P2 has been crazy. These drivers have been going at it, and it is a McLaren war. And it's just giving Diggs just room to open up, and it's almost a 5-second gap for Diggs now. So Diggs enjoying that. Sure, he was happy to get that pole position that allowed him to just slowly grow this gap, which can make a huge difference in the end. Which is make sure that you nail your pit stop. Let's take a little bit of a ride with Suave, cockpit ride here. Let's see what he's trying to find a way around Scott, but Scott just, as Adam mentioned, keeping himself steady, focused on his race line, and look at that. Better exit out of turn, and Scott goes.
It really is a wonder that that Nico's car has any front tires left on it. With the amount of sliding mid-corner that I've seen, and almost at a four-wheel skid half the time, just trying to get any kind of advantage on Scott.
Yeah, he's got 22 minutes left on, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to be switching tires, so he's going to have to make it work with whatever he's got. Let's switch the camera over to Martin Riggs, Lethal Weapon himself, on track on his BMW. He's got the Rugrats livery there going on, so it's a Nickelodeon finish, right? I mean, that's the color cone that I reckon. Oh, there it is, Nickelodeon.
Yep, that's teammate to Gordon Beverly. GB3 and the number 231, that pair of BMWs.
Oh, it's not too far ahead.
And I believe we just had a bit of a issue for Turner Johnson. I think, no, maybe not. I saw yellow for a second, but I don't see where he lost any spots or anything.
Hardee's. Is that what I see on Johnson's car with a big FIA logo?
Yes, yes, it is.
This huge FIA. He's trying to get him the same side as the stewards here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they'll, you know, part of the team.
Appealing to the wrong stewards.
Yeah,
You're appealing to FIA stewards in your NASCAR-themed car.
Yeah.
In an SRA lobby.
It's a great mix, though. I mean, with a GT3 great car class. I like it. I like it. This is good. Really good.
I'm a fan of chaos. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to switch this battle here as, by the way, just going on here, there's a battle with Dave, and he's got a huge train behind him. We got Dudley, Sutherland, Schlitz, and Garner just basically all bunched up together. These drivers have already pit. Again, drivers ahead of them, quite a few, about 13 drivers yet to pit. And this is going to get bunched up as drivers ahead of them will start pitting. So, yeah, this is going to become a huge train in I'd say in about 10 minutes. A very, very long train here.
Absolutely. Just update on that battle for second. Looks like Suave must have finally pushed just a little too hard and got a little bit wide. He's about a second and a half back from Scott currently. Actually being caught by his teammate Lee in the other City Chevrolet Days of Thunder themed McLaren, back in fourth place. Excellent race for Lee, just quietly working his way up the field.
Now, a little update on previous lap, by the way. And Diggs just kind of on his own pace there, but previous lap was a 46.380, with Scott with a 45, basically 45.997, 46 flat. Suave with a 46.070. So, but Suave having some issues. Looks like he's maybe a little bit of a track cut this lap around, and to see his delta being red. So you might be having some issues with those tires, as you mentioned.
Yep, you only get a finite amount of chances to try to go for those deep dives before your tires just give up on you. So we've got a really close battle here between Lloyd and Sodre for 7th.
Yeah, this
going
is going
for the
on.
inside here.
Ooh, here comes Lloyd. Might be on the inside.
Inside in that Ryobi Porsche.
And I think that was a great move from Lloyd. I think Sodre was waiting for him to go deep so he can try to cut on the inside, but Lloyd just parked it. He just said, "Nope,
Yeah,
my car is still here."
Exactly. I think you called it right there. It definitely looked like he was waiting for him to maybe overshoot and then go for the crossover, but it never happened. Just kind of got outmaneuvered there.
So Lloyd that was some brain games for him there. He's like, he just waited. It's like, no, I'm gonna stay right here, buddy. And then Sodre was like, come on, hurry up, man. And then it didn't happen. So great move from Lloyd there, taking that P7. And still going on here, this group with Dave. We have Dudley, Sutherland, Schlitz a little bit behind now, but being followed by Garner and Latufo. Ow. But and Dudley trying to throw Dave off by any means, but again, McLaren's just not able to, and Sutherland just keeping a close eye. And this is that one sector of the track, again, section of the track, the chicane we saw an incident there earlier between Dockendorf and Gardner. You have to be careful leading into that chicane. A little mistake there from Dave. Gives Stack a little bit of breathing. Now Dudley just super close. And let's not too far back. Let's switch over to Schlitz, who again was unfortunate to be involved in that oddly looking incident where his car just bounced off Suave's, which barely looked like a tap, but did cost him a little bit of time. Stop was actually a 7-second stop, so you might have chosen maybe just a couple of 2 seconds of damage or anything, but it looks like he did not repair his front is damaged, so it doesn't look like it affected him that much. But he knows he's under attack from Gardner.
It's amazing on timing scoring. This whole group from about 14th to 22nd, their laps right now are just so tight together. See pretty much a 46 flat to a 46-1 for just about everybody.
Yeah, you're right. And remember, there's a good, well, from what I see here, 12 drivers have yet to pit. And just about 16 minutes left in the race. We'll see which one of those drivers up top decides to head in and make a mess out of things, I would say. Oh, man, that turn 1 exit here at Ungaro is, I mean, you have the inside line, you do, which is a benefit for somebody coming out of the pits, but still really dangerous if you're a driver on the track. You better be looking to your right, make sure that nobody's in there before you close in with that turn 1. Or you know what happens, there goes your race. Garrity now into pits, by the way.
Garrity pitting P5.
And you can see the strain. Look at the strain
Exactly.
coming through. Let's switch over to Garrity and we'll see where he comes out. I think he'll be mixed in with this if it's a great pit stop for him. Yep, he nailed it. It's a 6 second, let's say, but we'll see where his Ferrari will be coming out. Here we go. I think it's right ahead of him, so he was able to actually avoid that train. But next to Pancheniak here, this is what I was talking about. You got to be really careful on your exit. And Pancheniak was well aware of Garrity's Ferrari. So Garrity, avoiding that train, was able to come out right ahead of him. I would say at the moment, I mean, obviously pit stop's still pending. Garrity is your, Dockendorf ahead of him is actually your, I would say your provisional P1. Obviously, you do have Diggs, Scott Suave there up at the top, but that drivers have already made their pit stop, so. Yeah, switch over quickly to Sodré here, P7. He does have Johnny Air behind him. It looks like Lloyd has basically opened a pretty big gap. So Lloyd with great pace. Previous lap from Lloyd was a 45.992, but Sodré with a 46.785, and looks like he might have cut the track a bit. He's got an invalid lap previous. This one is okay, as we did see Johnny Air going into the pits, giving Sodré some breathing room.
You know, I see a missed opportunity there. We're talking big brands this season. He could have gone for Air Johnny instead of Air Jordan.
That's true. That's true. He's got that Ajit. It's a great looking livery as well.
Absolutely. Still a great looking car.
Yep. And now we see that whole group of cars coming right through, led by Mr. Stack.
Yeah, let's jump back to Schlitz. Kind of pressuring Sutherland here. Almost got alongside on the straight. BMW pulled away a little bit.
Very close.
Dynamic keeps changing between this group. Just a minute ago, Sutherland was really pressuring Dudley Do-Right for that 14th spot, and now just as quickly as that happened, he's now under pressure from Schlitz. So it's kind of
they're switching dancing partners pretty frequently in this train that we got going here from about 12th on back to 17th. And Gardner actually quickly entering this picture, his AMG right behind these two.
Yeah, and taking a look at the chat, Darren, you're right. If you take a look at cars all over the track, but you also keep in mind that you can see there on the right side of the map, car 156, that little triangle is your leader. So that's basically at the moment Mr. Diggs. But that little group behind him, none of them have pit, and you can see this huge group of cars here we're following now at the top of the mini-map. When those guys pit, that's usually where they would be coming out, is mixed in with all those folks. So they got 12 minutes to go, and little by little they choose to pit on different laps or not, but this is going to get quite mixed up as I'm talking to you. Oh man, you see Dudley P14 with a drive-through, so cuts. Oh man, that does definitely ruin your race when you see that going on. So Dudley will have to go through another pit for that drive-through.
You'll never guess who's caught second place yet again, and actually alongside right now.
Oh boy. Look at that, Mr. Suave and Scott side by side.
Side by side, Nico to the outside, trying to hang on there. Let's see if it goes for a crossover after the chicane. Not going to be able to do it. Just a little too much on the brakes there. Lost the momentum, but got alongside. We see his teammate coming really close behind.
I was
going
to
to
say that. Lee just saw that happening and said, well, hello, folks. I'm here, too. We got teammates. Days of Thunder.
I was incorrect. The tires aren't dead yet. They're still kicking somehow.
It looks like that actually might have been a mistake on Scott's end. His current lap has been invalidated by the stewards, so that gave a chance to Suave. And again, we talked about this earlier. It's a mistake on the driver that's going to cost your position. You're really hard to overtake on your own, on pace alone. So. As Suave,
big slide from Nico off the corner there. That's not going to do a whole lot for your straight line speed there.
Oh man, his tires are giving in, and his teammate Lee looks like he's faring better at the moment.
Lee's been pretty much hot lapping for the majority of this race. Really has had no one else nearby to contend with. He's probably got the freshest tires out of this lead group.
And I switched the camera back to Dave, by the way, with Sutherland, Schlitz, and Garner. And they're basically within half a second of each other. So, again, oh man, how close does Sutherland get from Dave? Oh boy.
Yeah, it seems like they're really able to pitch the BMWs in there. I've seen that out of all the BMWs today. They're really able to pitch it in there under braking. You get the nose pointed toward the apex, but then almost contact there.
Garner on the inside and Schlitz.
Yep.
I think Schlitz said, like, I'm not letting him through. And he forgot the brakes. Oh man.
A little bit of evasive action there as Gardner thinking about going to the outside there. Doesn't do it.
He did get the position though in the end, so that little bit of a, again, lapse in judgment there for Schlitz cost the position, but he's not too far back at all. He's about to join this right back up.
Oh, absolutely. Just we see a little bit of an off track there for Sutherland. Bounces off one of the curbs.
Gardner will take that position
on the outside, no less. What a move!
Yeah, got to be careful here going to that chicane. So 2 positions in practically 1 lap here for Gardner, trying to move his way back up.
Yeah, Gardner really carving his way back through this field.
And just as we check on the chat, by the way, teammate Rikoski, we talked about not enough coverage. We'll keep the camera on Rikoski here for a bit. And he's been basically quiet throughout the whole race. Look at that, he's kind of on his own pace. He's got about a 2-second lead over Garrity, and has a 10-second gap between himself and Dockendorf in P9. But he's just there cruising on his own. He has already taken care of his pit stop, so he is technically, would say, by the way, Suave has already pitted, so he's out of the pit. He goes. Suave with a provisional lead. Now you can see him coming out of the pits. Rikoski maybe challenging him on turn 1. And here he goes deep.
Goes a little bit wide.
You have a better speed. Yep, better speed out of that going wide, and he might take the position here from Suave.
Almost fell to the same mistake we saw earlier, thinking the inside driver is going to go too deep, and then they don't.
And look at Suave, full-on defense and not giving room. But that gives Garrity room on the back, and then now Rutkowski has to be careful. Might cost him that position. Look how close they got, and Suave just not backing down at all. He said, "No, we're not done here yet." So great move, and Rutkowski, one of the drivers that pitted early, so he is a great move from him. Is able to basically, you know, practically, I think he's moved up 4 spots so far. He started in P14 and he's in P10. However, quite a few drivers ahead of him have yet to pit, so he might be moving up quite a few more spots once this is all said and done. So great race from him. Garrity super deep there on the brakes. And while this is happening, to switch over here to Joni Air being followed closely also by Sircone. Yeah, this is about to get real interesting. 7 drivers yet to pit. Lloyd is in the pits. We're about 6 minutes left in this race, so all those drivers up top are about to get their pit strategies. I mean, pit stops out of the way. Sircone on the inside from Air. Looks like he got better exit speed leading to turn 1. Air is going to take the outside line, but Sircone on the inside on the Porsche makes the move. So great move there from Sircone. Air just didn't put much of a battle. Said, all right, I'll give it to you. I don't want to cause any trouble. We'll just maybe solve this later on this lap if you made a mistake.
Yeah, Porsche actually, that 86 of Sircone actually had the fastest lap for a good first half of the race until Wagner took it over shortly after that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else is going to be taking that fastest lap from Wagner with these tires. That might be a solid point for Wagner coming at this time of the race.
Exactly. I think a 44.7 is probably going to stand. So the average is probably a 46.5 at this point. Ooh, Sweeney actually dove it in there for another. Air is kind of dropping like a rock. Isn't able to catch a breath before the next car catches him, and got kind of taken by surprise there. Now he's going to be under attack.
It looks like he had a bad exit,
GB3
right?
GB3 in a second.
Yeah, bad exit out of the chicane, and Sweeney wasted no time and just took that spot.
Very opportunistic there. I would have been a little nervous getting in there because I really don't think Air realized Sweeney was there. So Sweeney really took a sharp turn to the inside. So
opportunity,
but hey, it paid off.
Opportunity. He said, "I'll take it."
Can't argue with it if it pays off, right?
Oh man! And so today, by the way, in the pits, quite a few drivers overtaken there going into turn 1. We're gonna keep an eye on this. This is gonna be interesting to see. It looks like Wagner, Beverly, Joni Air closing the door on Sodré as they get bunched up. It looks like a tap. It looks like a tap there. It looks like Wagner and Beverly the third, and I don't think he was expecting him to be there. And he has spun, so Beverly the third dropping spots. Wagner is going slow once again, just trying to see if Beverly the third will catch up. So it just got really confusing there with Joni Air and everybody, and so they're coming out from the pits, and I don't think Wagner was expecting Beverly to smash on his brakes for that long. So he's pulled over, he's waiting for Beverly to catch up. He's quite a bit behind.
No, and that's so difficult as if you're the third car in line, because you can't see over the car in front of you, so you're really kind of at the mercy of what they're going to do. And he probably really didn't expect him to stay on the brakes quite that long, and we see the results of it.
Yeah, and then he's let him through after that incident. Good sportsmanship again from Wagner.
Now let's jump up to Garrity, and Garrity up in that 9th place in that Ferrari, putting some pressure.
He's absolutely behind Rutkowski.
Exactly.
And by the way, we do have drivers have already gone into the pits. Looks like we do have Roger in the pits. Lee with a provisional lead. And Diggs dropped down to... What happened to Diggs? He was way up there in the lead. Let's take a look at his pit stop. It's a 5-second stop from Diggs. And look at those undercuts. Scott, Roger, Dockendorf all have basically come out ahead of Diggs. Molyneux and Lee have yet to pit. So it looks like Dockendorf might come out with a win here. And you can see here on his Porsche, and Diggs not too far back, so a major undercut from Dockendorf is able to keep this up. Both drivers with a 5-second flat pit stop, so Dockendorf might be stealing that win in the end. And we'll switch back here to Rikoski with Garrity and Suave. This is not over. About just under 2 minutes left in the race. We'll see Lee and Molyneux getting their pit stops out of the way. And Garrity just trying to basically bait Rikoski. Lee has crossed the line for the final lap, but in the pits, so Molyneux will soon be heading for his pit stop. And Molyneux in the pits, so this will officially sort everything out as far as your final positioning going into the last lap goes. Pit window officially closed here at Ungaro. You can see there, right ahead of them. Not too many cars ahead. We saw Suave, and then Lee, and then Scott, and Diggs, and then Dockendorf with that lead. So great race from Dockendorf here so far. He's about a 4 second gap over Diggs.
Yeah, a little further back in this mess of a train.
Yeah.
Back around 10th place, Gardner just got by Super Dave. Super Dave had a big slide off the final corner going onto the straight. And he may fall prey to Sutherland in his BMW in just a minute here. Sutherland had a big run there, but didn't take the dive.
There's a huge train there behind Gardner. This is a massive... We have Gardner, Dave, as you mentioned, Sutherland, Schlitz. And Gardner, great race from him, although that incident earlier on the chicane, he was able to move his way back up as much as he could on the stands.
Yeah, I'd say Gardner's probably, from what I've seen so far today, I think he's probably made the most spots up on track as anybody.
And as we go around
only
here,
cars able to pass people
yeah,
pretty easily. Oh, as he almost gets into the back of Nate Rogers. Nate Rogers' McLaren had to really check up on the brakes to avoid getting into the back of him.
as we did see Dockendorf take that win, Diggs P2, and we have Scott slinging out of last turn, finishing their podium, as we do have Lee and then Suave. Rikoski closing in the P6, Garrity P7, Stack, Roger, Gardner, everybody coming behind. We have Dave, Sutherland, Schlitz, Al coming through with Sircone, not too far back, Sweeney, Molyneux after his pit stop, Jonier, Sodre, Lloyd coming through not too far back. With Maxi Poe holding on strong behind Johnson. And then we have Martin Riggs coming through P23, Dudley with that unfortunate drive-through. And we have Wagner coming through there at the end. Looks like Dudley just slinging shot out ahead of him. Out of the way he goes, Beverly. Petrovic, we have Andy Speed, followed by Pinchiniak, Andrew Berg, Reynolds, and then Cranston coming through here in just a bit as he goes through the last turn. And I'm sure Dudley is not happy with that drive-through he had that dropped in quite a few spots. We have Artem coming through. Last driver on the track. We do have Lee, and then to finalize our race here, last driver on track, Marvin coming through here on the last turn. So, first round one here at SRA Season 9 D3. What a race! With Dockendorf just coming through with that win there at the end. After that, great race from. We're gonna see if we can get some interviews here for you guys. Just find out a little bit how their race went. So give us just a few seconds here as we get things rolling.
Yeah, I'm thinking about team standings. I think that's going to be an absolutely great day for Lee and Suave.
Yeah, they finished way up there on the top. The Days of Thunder team. Give me a second here as I'm trying to find a couple of drivers here available for a little bit of a chat. Let's see here. We do want to see if we can bring in our race winner, Dockendorf, possibly Diggs and Scott, and we'll bring him over once they are available. So we do have Scott available here on our voice chat. We'll see if he's able. We're going to move him over to our cool down room for a second, get his take on how the race went. So give us just a few seconds here, folks. Alrighty, here we go. We're going to move him over to our race chat. Give us just 1 second. And here we go. Mike Scott, do you hear us at the booth?
Yes.
Well, hey, well, first of all, congratulations, man. It was a heck of a race there for you, man. You got some pretty good battling going on there within yourself and Suave. We just wanted to get your take. How did your race go overall? Talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, first race jitters. I actually I got 3 track cuts in the first 5 minutes. So yeah, it was I was nursing that the whole race. So I'm sure Suave behind me, he had good pressure, but I'm pretty sure he had moments where he was wondering what I was doing because I probably didn't gun it on the apex like maybe he was expecting because I just yeah 3 track cuts for 55 minutes. So I'm pretty sure that kind of threw him what he was probably expecting me to do through some turns.
Yeah, I mean, overall, we were watching you guys quite a bit, and looks like Suave was, I mean, from the TV camera perspective, he was maybe overcooking his tires a little bit too much, but you kept your line. I mean, you kept it pretty much. Looks like you were dead on focus, even though you had your track cuts. I mean, you were just steady on your line. There was a little bit of a battle there towards the end. We saw you guys go side by side, and then you were able to fend off, which was I was like, oof, that was close, but I mean.
Yeah, side by side, sector 3. I know Hungaroring is extremely hard to pass, so I had the advantage in defending. Yeah, he had a good pressure. I know he missed some I missed some braking points too. He missed some. I saw him, and he was squabbling. He was faster through me. I think turn 12, that whole S's region. He always caught me on that. But yeah, it's really hard to pass, so I was able to keep him behind me.
Nice. I mean, first race of the season, we're all talking about having the jitters, like you mentioned, like shake that out of the way, ready for round 2, so to speak. But still a great finish. There's always that dropout round. Obviously, this wouldn't be one of yours. I mean, P2 is a heck of a result. So
yeah, let's hope it's not
that.
like last season. Let's hope it's not like last season for me, where I come out of the gate swinging like this, and then all of a sudden life happens, and I missed a bunch of races.
That's usually me. So that
yeah,
I see. I totally understand how that goes. But yeah, I mean, just wanted to get your take. Really, I don't want to take too much of your time. Still, congrats on that P2. Great round 1 here at season 9, and I'll send you back to the D3, D4 race chat, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
You got it. All right, Adam, let's go down the list here. We do have our race winner available. I'm going to bring him over. Let's see who we got.
Right.
There, I'll let you do the rain take over here on the interview. Let's bring him in, and here we go.
Train, but
Bobby, it's Adam up in the booth. How you doing? You got us?
yep, I hear you guys.
All right. I just wanted to say congratulations and get your take on the race there. You definitely caught us by surprise a little bit after a pretty single-sided affair early on. We saw you play a little bit of strategy by pitting early and kind of surprised us at the end and took the win. So tell us about your day. How'd that go for you?
It was pretty good. I actually, funny enough, I had an issue with my wheel a little bit at the beginning through like the middle where I wasn't able to upshift at random points. So I was losing a little bit of time to the group ahead of me because of that. And then I kept catching them and then losing them because of that. And I was like, okay, I know I'm faster than these guys. So after I accidentally bumped into the Merc, it knocked him off. Not on purpose, by the way, my friend. I decided to just jump into the pits because the guys ahead were battling it out the whole race and they weren't getting around each other. So I figured the only way I was going to get around them is if I jumped into the pits.
Yeah, I mean, well, it definitely played out in your hand because we didn't see a whole lot of people playing that undercut strategy. We had a few try, but overall, you definitely had a lot more success than a lot of drivers, which tells us you must have had quite a bit of pace in that Porsche of yours, which we figured would have a lot of pace, but yours definitely had the most. Yeah, strong start to the season. Put yourself out front first race, and how do you think you're looking for next week? Are you looking forward to that?
It's Alton Park, so that's one that I'm gonna have to practice quite a bit with the Porsche. It's a little bit squirrely at that track, but I should be all right for that. I'll just put in the time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Raph, do you have anything you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it, man. Congrats on that win. I mean, we saw you, was able to do a pretty good undercut there at the end. We saw Diggs was leading pretty much most of the race, and then when it all said and done, you had a pretty good, like a 3 to 4 second lead there going into the basically last 2 laps. So it was a great race, great move, and yeah, congrats on the win. And yep, next week, I mean, actually, excuse me, not next week. Next week we do not have a race. It's going to be in 2 weeks. So that's going to be in Alton Park, like you said. It will be dry, unlike previous season. So at least that's an advantage, I'd say, at Alton Park. But again, like I said, congrats, man. Congrats on the win. And I'll go ahead and I'll send you back to our D3, D4 race chat.
Alrighty, thanks guys.
You got
Have
it.
a good one.
You too, man. Alrighty, let's see if we do have anybody else here on our chat that we can bring in. I was looking for Max Diggs, but I do not see him. I was gonna see what his stake was. I mean, he was leading most of the race there at the end. Anybody else that I would see here? I'm gonna bring in Dudley in here because he is your D1 commentator and host. I just want to find out what happened. Just let's see what he was doing pretty good. I know, and then he got that drive through. So let's see if he wants to at least get a little bit of a chat here with us. I'm gonna basically bring him back into the booth after hosting. Now he's on the driver's suit. So let's bring in Mr. Dudley. You're here at the booth with us. You hear us?
Oh, hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, we brought you in here not with your host suit, but more of like with your driver's racing suit this time because you're on the track.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to, we're bringing a few folks for interview. We saw you. Obviously, there was a little bit of an issue there with your race in the end. We saw a drive-through kicking in, which is always unfortunate. Just talk to us a little bit. How did it happen? How did that work out? What happened, basically?
Yeah, this race did not go as planned. We can definitely say that one. So I think I started what, 7th? Right off the bat, I was thrown off by, if you look at this, the way the grid started, the whole line of cars that I was behind was like lagging from where they should have been on their start position, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And it just felt really awkward at the start. So I feel like guys behind us got a super run on us, and we ended up just really kind of stacked up for those through those first few corners. And by the time you get to corner 3, I mean, there's just not enough room to still be going 2-3 wide through there. And I think it was Wagner maybe just touched me a little bit, and then I just got kind of pushed to the outside, and I just kind of kept getting pushed to the outside. So I think at that point I'd fallen down to about 15th or 16th. So definitely not the best first lap. And then I was kind of debating, okay, do I just hit the pits and try to find some open track? I did eventually do that, but ended up coming out behind some silver guys. I did end up making one fairly good pass right there, but after that, I got 2 track cuts in a place that I had never gotten them the whole time I've been practicing for this race. And that was in the tight chicane there. And I couldn't figure out what I was doing that different. It must have just been having cars that close in front and behind me that was throwing off my visuals just that little bit to where I was just cutting it a little bit harder. And so then I was like, okay, I got to rein this in, figure out what's going on. And then when I got the 3rd, I was like, man, it's not even halfway through the race. It's almost like I got to really, really watch. And sure enough, towards the end, I was pushing. Who was it that was in front of me? Was it Dave? Yeah,
I believe so. Yep. Yep.
And I'd been kind of playing cat and mouse with him for a while, and I finally decided the only way I'm going to get him is to push him into that third sector really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that is push hard out of that fast right-hander. And
Yep.
yep, just got wide there. That was the last track limit, and then just coasted out from there pretty much.
Yeah, I was watching, and as I was looking at the standings, I saw the DT sign come up. I'm like, no, what did happen? I said, oh man, because you're right. I mean, for the most of the race, there was a lot of battling going on, and then, like you said, I mean, I don't remember exactly when you decided to pit. I just saw you had already pit, but that whole there was a little bit of a train going on there for quite a while, and you're trying to get over. I forget which driver it was, but I do know that you were trying to get him, basically trying to get him to make a mistake. But it was, like you mentioned, Ngaro is like a minute and 45, but by the time you try to attempt an overtake on a safe way, there really isn't a safe way to do so. It's always tough.
Yeah, you
So-
definitely got to just push the driver in front of you into a mistake. And he did. There was one place where he did get wide, and I had an opportunity, and I just didn't capitalize on it. And I was like, oh, that was it, man. That was my one shot, and I missed it. But yeah, you kick yourself for those things. You kick yourself for I don't know what I really could have done different there at the start, because I would have been out of position if I
Yep.
tried to do anything different there. But hey, we get a drop race. This is
Yep.
the first race, my first race in D3. Whatever. It was a
You're good.
good evening of racing. I got to drive a car for an hour and not wreck it. So
Yep. That's good. I mean, 2 weeks we head out to Olden Park, and the dry this time, not wet. I was mentioning to Dockendorf, a race winner earlier, but should be fun. So yeah, next week no race, but in 2 weeks we're heading off to Olden Park. You'll be in the booth before you race, so that should be entertaining. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I'll make sure to tune in. But anyways, I'll send you back to the race chat. I don't want to take too much of your time. But Adam, got anything for Dudley?
No, I was just gonna say great. Up until the a little bit of an incident. It's been great watching that whole train there. Now, were you really concerned about defense too much? I know you were on the trying to press Dave for most of that time, but I know I saw so many people just about run over the person in front of them. Did you kind of have your eyes on the mirror for a good portion of that time, while also trying to put pressure on Dave, or were you pretty much just offensive?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it was throwing me off a little bit every time. There's so many places on this track that it's pretty much inevitable that guys are going to catch you hard under braking. And that always just throws you for a loop a little bit when you see somebody coming up that big of a speed difference into your mirror. You're like, oh crap, is he going to hit me? So you're kind of bracing a little bit more into the corners. And I wouldn't say I ever altered my driving line though to try to keep him from making a pass. So I don't think I ever actually went in any kind of defensive mode. It was more about trying to find a way around the guy in front the whole time. And yeah, but it definitely did have an effect on my lap times. I think once I got in the clear again after the DT, I immediately recognized like, oh geez, I was not staying on my line. I was letting the guys around me kind of dictate my driving, and that's a sure way to go too slow.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for the insight. Just definitely from the booth, you see different things like that, and you get to wondering, hey, I wonder what their thought process is. Are they kind of having to mentally put the blinders on and say, I know I could get run over, but if it happens, it happens. I mean, and it's D3. You got such a good group of people here that it doesn't happen nearly as much as other places. So, and really, we didn't see too much of it today. We saw a couple, of course. It's Hungaroring. It's going to happen no matter what. But really, not as bad as we've seen in the past. So, yeah, that was just a good bit of insight, and I'm a good bit of stuttering. But yeah, thanks for sharing with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you progress throughout the season here as you're in a new environment here in D3.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just realized I was running the wrong livery for that whole race. That's hilarious.
we saw.
Yeah,
a
you
black
weren't the
car.
only one.
Yeah, it's round one issues we always run into, but we'll get it sorted out by round two, so we'll be good.
All right.
I don't.
It was an off night, guys. Thanks again.
All right, you got it, man. Good night.
Yeah, we'll see you, Dudley.
Alrighty. Okay, folks. Well, we got those 3 interviews out of the way. We're just running about over 2 hours here on the stream. I think we're gonna go ahead and close out for tonight. Adam, you wanna do the honors on
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
sponsors?
Yeah, of course. Before we close, we gotta shout out our sponsors and all the great supporters here we have at SRA. So, of course, a big thank you to everyone, both the people who donate and everything, and the members here at SRA. And of course, from Documise, and Documise is a modern business solution for product management. And go to documise.com to learn more about their management software today. And of course, Retro Saga, they're a North American based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. So if you want to enhance your retro gaming experience, go ahead and pay them a visit at retrosaga.ca. And of course, a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. They allow you to experience redefined gaming with high quality sim rigs and accessories. And use our code SRATE at checkout to support SRA. And of course, Armamentario, they're a toolbox for ACC that'll enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way that you experience ACC. And of course, to Go Setups, they've got premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. And new one to mention here is AT3D. AT3D is a proud sponsor of Sim Racing Alliance, and they're actually run by a fellow SRA member and Season 8 D2 Silver champion, Caleb Yarrington. And at AT3D, they put a strong emphasis on the quality of their prints, aiming to change the way people think about 3D printing, from rumble kits to magnetic shifters, stream deck mounts, pedal plates, and much more. They've got you covered. And if you are in the SRA Discord, be sure to check out the giveaway channel, because there is a giveaway for a rumble kit from AT3D this season. Make sure you check that out before next week and before that giveaway ends. And that's about it. Raph, why don't you take us off here?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Again, all those sponsors, our community here, SRA, we've grown every season. It's been super fun for the past, for myself, it's been over a year and a half here at SRA, but we have all the great sponsors and a great community. If you're not part of our community, be sure to check our description link below for our Discord. Join in, have a chat with the drivers. Join in. Like I said, we have divisions for every pace, whether you full-blown alien out there, or if you are a little bit slower like me, you'd say, hey, by any means, feel free to join in and have some fun here on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights across the different divisions. That being said, yes, so next week, just a reminder, as I mentioned earlier, there will be no race next week due to Halloween. So we're taking a week off, but we will be back here in 2 weeks, round 2 at Alton Park in the dry, so no rain this time around. But we should have some fun out there, that's for sure. It's always an interesting track due to, well, it's not really that flat. There's so many issues with the track, I'd say. So it requires quite a bit of focus to make sure you don't spin yourself out. And we had that in the rain last season. That was an entertaining an entertaining week. But other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. And we will be seeing you guys in 2 weeks. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you once again.